Hello there, Spartans, and welcome back to a new video, and more importantly, welcome to Warhammer 3, the first time I have said that on the channel. So today we've had some big reveals around what we can expect with battle gameplay when the game releases later this year. Now, still no word on that officially, but I still have high hopes for a late September launch. But of course, given what's been going on over the last 12 months, that could understandably be pushed back. Right, okay, so I was very kindly sent over some footage from Creative Assembly of this battle that you're about to see. Now, forgive me, however, I haven't had much time to prepare for this one today. I know some of the other YouTubers were able to capture footage at a recent event for this and actually got to play the battle. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of those at the time. However, rest assured, going forward, I will be right there with any news and gameplay drops for Total War in the future. Now, yesterday we got to see the awesome new trailer, which unfortunately did get leaked, and it meant it was brought forward from today when it was originally meant to be shown. However, nevertheless, it was fantastic to see. You can absolutely believe and see the power of the chaos corruption that is descending upon the old world. In the trailer, you got to see a Kislev man give into his rage, essentially, resentful that his nation is doomed to be the bulwark against chaos for an ungrateful world. Now, the chaos corruption does begin to consume him as his physical appearance and voice changes throughout the trailer. Now, there is thoughts that this could be Tsarina Katerin's dad, Boris, although the voice actor is different from the narrator of the reveal trailer. Whoever he is, he returns with an army to try and conquer his own people, and Tsarina Katerin takes him on in a battle, and her forces fight the Khornate chaos mutations outside of a settlement. Now, then the trailer sort of moves on and ends with a Kislev woman wandering the world to find the stronghold and realms of chaos are here. It's a great trailer. It finishes fantastic. There's a lot of fire, and we are in for a lot of trouble when we're playing as Kislev on the game. But yeah, it's going to be superb. But today, gameplay has arrived, and what you're about to see is called a survival battle. It's a new kind of narrative battle designed specifically for Warhammer 3. It's an additional battle type and doesn't replace any of the traditional battle types that players are familiar with from the series. It adds to it. However, this could be a big step forward for the Total War series. This could offer the player a completely new style of phased combat never seen in Total Wars before. Therefore, in this video, let's talk about what's new, what stands out, and what this could mean for the future. Now, these are rare and epic encounters, essentially the boss battles of Warhammer 3. We've seen them all before with quest battles in the previous games, and they are sort of triggered as you reach key points in the game's narrative. Now, this battle today that's on show pits Katerin, the Ice Queen, one of the, of course, playable legendary lords of Kislev, against the massed forces of Khorne, and is set before the Brass Citadel, the Blood God stronghold deep in his hellish realm. Now, players must overcome wave after wave of demonic entities and drive forward through the map to capture each victory point in turn, before facing Khorne's champion, an exalted greater demon, in a final and desperate struggle. So these wave battles are brand new to Total War, and they are extremely exciting. Look, very fun to play. I'm excited to see what other elements of wave battles can we see and what we'll be able to encounter as the game is revealed to us, because I'm sure this is one of a few of this style of combat. Now, many of the foes you'll face in this battle have reduced hit points compared to those you encounter in other battles during a campaign, which is understandable. If there's going to be this many waves of enemies coming against you, there's got to be a payoff. There's got to be something to try and help the player get through what's going to be a very difficult fight. This enables you to create this sort of spectacle of demons assaulting in sort of plague numbers while still giving that player, as I say, a chance of success. And you may notice that many lesser demons seem to fall easily, and that's because of the reduced hit points in these units. What is great to see here as well is that survival battles are kind of handcrafted encounters which are longer and more challenging than standard battles. And get this, play times for this battle are around 45 minutes. Now, if you've been one of these guys in the past who's moaned about battles being a bit too quick, well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This could be, hopefully, the answer to what you've been looking for. And can you imagine, obviously, if this is going to be the case, if they're going to be phased battles and you're facing many waves of enemies and they're lasting this amount of time, can you imagine how big the maps could be for these battles as well? There could be huge battle maps within Warhammer 3. And obviously with this, it introduces a suite of new features and mechanics, which we're going to talk about right now. Now, the first thing is victory points. Now, much of the gameplay in a survival battle is focused around victory points. Now, fear not, these are not the same as Rome 2. Now, remember when Rome 2 first came out, you had victory points dotted around the battle map in a pitched battle or field battle. And essentially, they were useless. They didn't do anything for you. But these do. These mean something. These are really important to the player, because capturing one grants you supply points, and supply points are really important in this style of battle. And they activate a number of construction slots upon which you can erect offensive and defensive structures. Now again, think about that. We've seen this before, but not to this extent. Attila, you could erect defensive barricades and things like that to help you against the enemy that were attacking your settlement, but they were only done before the battle began. These are all done real time, so it does add, for me, a little bit of RTS feel to the battles, like, you know, Age of Empires maybe, or Battlefield Middle-earth. I mean, I'm not saying that they are going to be exactly the same. I'm not comparing them to those games at all, but it adds that little bit of an element to the battle. Something real-time that you have to think about alongside your actual unit tactics and things like that. So capturing a victory point also triggers a new wave of demons to enter the field. So any structures you build will help you defend the victory point and maintain your army cohesion as the wave of enemies rush towards you. So I would imagine victory points not only obviously are important to help you progress in the battle, but also will help with morale in your army. So until you capture a victory point, it will grant a passive map-wide debuff to your forces, which is revealed by hovering over the cursor on the victory point marker. Capturing it cancels this effect. So that really has given that drive to the player to make sure they are pushing forward to get these points, because if you don't, as you can see, it's going to affect your army massively. So if the Khorne forces, though, if they retake a victory point that you've captured, any structures you've erected around it will be completely destroyed, and that will straight away put you at a disadvantage, because A, it will activate the debuff again, and secondly, you're going to be losing your structures, which were essentially before then helping you massively in defending against the other enemy. Now, as I say, supplies are a big one. So as you kill enemies and you take victory points, you are granted supplies. So you'll see in the footage that you can see on the screen right now, this supply number is constantly going up. So if you're killing enemies, that's granting supply points all the time. And literally every improvement that you are going to get in this battle is spent with supply points. So they can be spent in a number of ways to improve your fortunes, essentially, in the battle. So, as I said, killing enemies provides a constant drip feed of supplies, while capturing a victory point gives you a large burst of them. So a large boost to them straight away, as opposed to being drip fed by just enemy killings. And this prompts you to then push on to the next point, because you know you're going to get that promise of a new set of fresh supplies. And then obviously these fresh supplies can be spent in a number of ways. So the first one, as I say, is the construction element. So when you capture a point, it's attached to the construction slots that then become available. They activate as you capture these points. And these square slots enable you to build missile towers, for example. And then the rectangular slots enable you to build barriers. And there's 4 types each. You can hover over them and you can get the different options. Now, I would imagine, from what I've seen, you can get different levels. The better they are, the more supply points, obviously, they're going to cost. Now, missile towers will fire constantly at enemy forces as they approach and have an infinite amount of ammunition. They just go for it. Howl for leather, they will keep firing. And obviously, this is going to be very useful for weakening the hordes of enemies that are going to be approaching you on the battlefield. So depending on their type, barricades can be used to provide a raised firing platform for your ranged units. Again, we've seen that before with Attila. Debuff enemies that approach them and block enemy pathways to funnel your foe into optimal positions. So again, giving you that advantage in a real-time element. And depending on the situation, enemies may attempt to destroy your barricades. So they will try and smash through if they can to get to your forces. Now, these tower defense style building elements enable you to turn the terrain surrounding each victory point to your tactical advantage. So structures can be sold for about a 50% supplies refund, I believe, or they can be replaced by other types, which either refunds or costs you supplies according to the type that you're going to do. So again, you can play off that. Maybe you think to yourself, I don't need that particular structure there anymore because we've pushed on, we've progressed in the battle. I can relieve that one, I can get rid of it. That's going to give me a 50% supply refund, which I can then obviously build and use on other aspects of the battle. Now, this is a really good one. This is army improvements. Now, again, supplies have to be spent on this to improve your troops in a number of ways, but I've never seen this before. The replenishments menu allows you to improve the winds of magic, which fuel Katarin's spellcasting, speed up character ability cooldowns, and restore the health, stamina, and ammo of your units. However, the upgrades menu allows you to improve the melee weapons, armor, projectiles, and shields of any of the units you have selected in your army. So you're there not only real-time building fortifications, barricades, towers on the battlefield, but you're there in real time now, effectively enhancing your troops as they are fighting in the field. So you're really adding this layer of strategy in this battle. The recruitment menu allows you to call in fresh troops to the field. So as you progress, as each victory point you capture, it enables a nearby portal which acts as the spawn point for any new recruits you request. So you can define which portal troops spawn at by clicking on the icon above that particular portal. Now, the number and type of troops available to you expands with each victory point you take. So after capturing the first point, you'll have access to a handful of kind of core units. Not OP, not epic units, kind of standard core units. Okay? But by the time you capture the third point, you're calling in big boys then. You're calling in higher tier units, such as the Elemental Bear. The huge bear that you'll see at the end of this video. So if a unit, however, in the battle becomes sufficiently depleted, it may be more cost effective in supplies to withdraw it rather than to use multiple replenishments on it. So what you do is you select a unit and click on it to the teleport withdraw button, which will remove it from the field. Okay, it will then return to the recruitment pool, replenish itself to full health, and then may be able to be recruited later on in the battle. So again, you can be strategic in when you withdraw and bring troops back into the fray. Another element to it as well. So with all of this, because Katarin is obviously a Ice Queen, she is going to bring a new law of magic to the Warhammer series, the law of ice. Okay, this new law focuses on slowing and damaging enemy units and buffing, obviously, friendly units as well. And throughout this battle, you've seen already possibly, and as the battle continues, a lot of her spells being cast on the enemy. And these are quite big area of effect spells, which can do quite a considerable amount of damage to the enemy. Let's have a quick breakdown of them and see what she has got in her locker. So the first one is Crystal Sanctuary, an augment which basically provides massive damage resistance to friendly units while disabling movement for the duration, but gives you that huge buff to damage resistance for your friendly units in the battle, which again will be huge when you're facing hordes of enemies like you are in this one. Frostblades is an augment spell which basically buffs weapon and AP weapons damage and melee attack for the duration of the spell that is cast. So that could be a massive boost to units that are big damage dealers. You boost their melee attack in the combat, and they can really start to shred through these hordes of enemies as they come towards you, especially if they have got lower HP than normal battles that you would face them in. Then we've got Ice Maiden's Kiss, which is a breath spell which basically reduces movement speed and causes damage over time to enemy units. And then we've got Death Frost, a big damage dealer spell which causes a massive effect of damage over time while that is cast. And then Ice Sheet basically reduces the movement and charge speed of the target enemy unit. We've seen it before with other legendary lords in previous Warhammer titles, where they've got that spell which slows the movement speed down of the enemy and allows you as the attacking army to then hit them and push onto them while they have got that lack of mobility, and hopefully pin them down and finish them off quite quickly. And then the last one is Heart of Winter, a 4-phase DOT/AOE area of effect spell which causes increasing damage and movement speed reductions per phase in the area of effect. So really, she is going to be a lord that's going to be able to play on the abilities to move or to reduce movement of enemy units, to really debuff them in a lot of ways, and to allow you as a mobile army to then descend upon them with her damage spell that she's causing, but also reducing that enemy movement mobility that they have with the spells that she can cast. Also, another challenge to the player in this battle is the fact that light enemies will constantly feed into the rear of the map. So, you're pushing on, you're going further on in the battle, you're progressing forward, capturing those victory points and constructing those buildings as you go. However, at the back end, at the rear of the map, you've still got light enemy units feeding into it. So it's a good idea, with that in mind, to keep the first victory point defended, perhaps with some towers, barricades, and a small handful of defenders. So that's why it's really important that as you progress, you do hire better and fresh troops, because you're going to have to leave some of them behind for the back end of forces that you're going to be facing. And as well, as I said before, because if you do lose that first victory point, then A, you lose all of your buildings you've got there, which may not sound as important, but the thing is, you're going to get that debuff re-enabled onto you, so that will of course start to hinder your army again because you've lost the victory point. So it is important to be making sure you've got one eye behind you at all times. Now, what you do have in this battle as Kislev is the ability to have cavalry units, the Winged Lancers or the Griffin Legion Riders. So, as you can imagine, you're going to be facing off against these hordes of enemies, these plagues of chaos warriors. The thing is, if you've got the mobility with the cavalry to just kite them, to hit them hard, pull out, hit them hard again, keep using the cavalry to your advantage against the enemy, pulling them out of position, finding loopholes in the enemy's movement. And with that cavalry, you can do that. That's key to this battle, because I believe, from what I've seen and heard already, that the Winged Lancers particularly, the cavalry in general, are quite a good, strong part of the Kislev army outfit. So the final part of the battle, this final showdown, essentially, is when, as I said, Khorne's champion, which is an exalted greater demon, arrives after the final part of the battle. After you take the final victory point and you destroy the enemy wave that is triggered by that capture, he will appear with some lesser demons in an attempt to finish you off, to push you back and destroy your forces. Now, as you can imagine, this guy is huge. He's going to be tough. He's going to have a number of hit points at his disposal. So he's going to take a lot of ranged, melee, spell casting, ranged attacks, and a lot to just finish him off. And so you're going to have to use Kadarin's abilities here, the Law of Ice, to your advantage, basically. So this is when, you know, units like your Elemental Bear are going to have to come in, basically, to keep him occupied, to whittle him down, and obviously destroy the accompanying wave of demons that come with him, but focus everything you've got on him, hit him hard, take him out, and use that tank kind of battle style with the big units you've got, the tougher units you've got at your disposal at that point, to focus everything you have and to hit him hard. And hopefully when you've done that, if you've finished him, you've killed him, that will be where the battle is victorious. You've got all the victory points under your control. You've taken out the champion and you have gained victory on the day. So yeah, very exciting stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Very exciting indeed. That's where I'm going to leave it for you today. I hope you've enjoyed the battle. I, for one, am really liking the new direction that they are heading in with these battles. It really does add a new layer to what is already a very complex and very micro-intensive Total War set of games, much more than the historical titles. I have to say, you know, I'm a big fan of historical titles, but this does add in that new layer that we've never had before. And as well, you've got this RTS style element to contend with, as I say, and that constant push forward for victory, basically, and gaining that ground in the battle, that real key drive forward with gaining the ground in the actual clash. You know, the scope, the size and length of battles are really great to see. It, you know, it gives the options and strategic depth that we haven't seen before. The recruitment pool can offer a variation and choice to the player. You know, what you can deploy can change every time you play this battle or this style of battle. It can be different every time. You can fight it in so many different ways from one time to the next. You know, I, for one, have always wanted to see phase battles make their way into Total War. They could easily make their way into historical titles as well. Many times throughout history, we've seen battles fought in different stages. So can you imagine that in a historical title and also in sieges? How good would it be to see them in sieges? Different styles or different stages that you'd have to go through to fight a siege battle. That could be done in Warhammer, no problem at all. But to have it in any Total War game going forward would be so awesome to see. It would be just amazing. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Sorry if it has come across as a little rushed today. Usually I do like to plan my videos a bit more, put a bit more time into the script and things like that. But obviously with this today, circumstances could not be helped. But definitely in the future, this will not be a problem for me anymore. So very excited for what could be coming down the line as we progress down the next few months and as we approach the release date for Warhammer 3. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching today. If you've enjoyed it, please do drop it a like. And until next time, take care and farewell.